Yo, what it is, everybody? Thanks for tuning back into another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Yeah, you got it. We talking about the BMW, the S1000RR again. Now, appreciate all the congratulations, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video when I purchased it. Again, I have been riding some, but also haven't been riding a lot because I've also been busy doing some stuff with the race car stuff, with the trailer and that project. As if you didn't see that, that was the video I just released actually before this one. Of course, still have the GSXR. I could not sell that thing, and it wasn't good enough, in my opinion, to sell this bike yet to replace that. So I'm going to answer some questions that a lot of you guys have been asking me about. And how does it compare to the old one? Is it worth the upgrade? How about the comparison between the GSXR and the new S1000RR? Well, I'm going to answer some of those questions and some of those questions briefly in this video, but other ones, and I'm going to make separate videos on those so you guys know, so you really have an in-depth topic and an in-depth review of your particular question, because I just can't just say, yeah, it's worth it. And a lot of people are going to be wondering why. What's so great about it? What's so cool? Besides obviously its looks and stuff like that. So, in my personal opinion, after owning it for about the first 100 miles, the bike is still locked, meaning I can't rev it past 8,000 RPM. And that shift cam technology that is like super exciting to me, I really can't validate that it's as great as, the VVT in this as great as it is in that. I will tell you this though, for the ones that are wondering, and maybe some of the viewers that are actually watching my review right now have their S1000 already unlocked. I don't have enough miles on mine yet to have it unlocked, but of course I will soon. But I will say, the dyno graph and what BMW shows is that it shows the torque is from 5,000, I believe, to 13,000. And that's where you really feel the gain in torque. So the rev limiter right now is set at 8,000. So you only get like 3,000 RPM, but as well, it feels that the bike, once it gets to like 7,000, the bike is, pulling timing and or doing whatever, getting ready to hit the rev limiter. So I really can't validate that the VVT in this is so much greater than not having it in the old one. But I will say this, not only does this engine feel more potent, that is for sure. It definitely feels like it has more torque. As far as more power, I obviously can't tell you that because I can only rev it to 8,000. First 100 miles, I will tell you the first thing that I really do like about this bike. And my favorite thing about this bike in the first 100 miles is not the screen or anything like that. Yeah, all that shit is cool, I'm not going to lie. And before I keep going, I'm going to keep it 100 with you guys. If the bike sucks, I'm going to tell you, the bike sucks. Don't buy it, or you don't have to buy it, it's your opinion, but or buy it, whatever. But like I told you with the V4, I didn't like that bike. I thought the bike sucked. The bike was great for one thing only, and that was built for the racetrack. Yeah, it looked pretty, this, that, but I personally did not like the bike at all. I just like the way it looks. And I sold that shit. I did not like it. I hated it. It's probably one of the bikes I hated the most. So I'm not afraid to say just because I had my last BMW that was great and I'm going to really like this one. No, this one could suck ass too. And if it does, in my opinion, I'm going to tell you. And the one thing I am actually going to go over in this video is one of the issues I've already had with it in one day of ownership. So, but my favorite thing about this bike, believe it or not, is the adaptive riding controls. And I say that because when you change your mode, yes, the mode is pre-programmed with the electronic suspension. It's kind of like when you're in like a Camaro or Corvette, but many other cars have it, Nissans and Lamborghinis and stuff like that. You could be in like tour mode or cruise mode, and the suspension is super soft. And then when you get to the sport mode and race mode, it really stiffens up. Now you can do this before you guys jump on me and say, oh, you could do it on the old BMW. Yes, you can, but you have to go into each individual each individual spring and shock and adjust the dampening and the rebound. Would it soften and do its thing? Absolutely. But here, you could put it in road or dynamic or whatever it is, or rain, and it automatically adjusts. And I will tell you this, what is so awesome and so kick-ass is that it really, really gets super soft when it's in road mode. I'm talking like soft as like cruiser soft. The suspension dampens, it compresses correctly, and it's not just like soft where shit is just bouncy and all over the place. It still actually handles. and handles well. And when you put that shit in race mode, it really tightens up, and like when you hit a bump, you could really feel it in your wrist, as it should be, because when you're in race mode, it's, again, targeted to be more so on the racetrack. Now, doing some further research, I will tell you this. My worst thing that I hate about this bike, which you've heard me say it about other bikes, is I think the seat sucks. Now, it could just be on the M version because, well, this is the M version. The other non-M versions may come with a different seat. I'm not sure. But we'll know when the other ones come in. And if that's the case, maybe I'll have to get some type of like comfort seat or something like that. But the seat is pretty firm. But when you're riding around town, I will say this. With the adaptive suspension, it really does actually make up with it. But the seat is nothing like the previous S1000RR, the outgoing model. It is pretty tough. The passenger seat is roughly about the same, but the driver's seat, there's just less padding, and the padding is a lot more dense. Definitely nothing like the GSXR seat, which is like a couch compared to that, which the GSXR seat actually had a seat very similar to the S1000, or maybe it's backwards, but that seat was still always softer. So I believe the bike would actually ride a lot better with a softer seat. That's just my personal opinion, but a lot of individuals like the hard seat because they feel that they could feel the bike. Well, again, I understand that. If you're on the racetrack, sure. But if you're on the street where you spend a lot of your time, again, the seat is probably a little bit more important. So maybe BMW offer another seat or something like that. I'm not sure. As far as the gauges and everything like that goes, I will say the gauge display is freaking awesome. It does everything that you would expect it to do. You can go through all of the modes, change the modes. Sport, when you hook up the BMW application, you can get your navigation. When you sync it to your phone, you can get your media. Of course, you have to have a Bluetooth helmet for it to pass the information to. So it actually passes the information to the motorcycle first, and then passes it to your helmet. And of course, if you get a phone call or anything like that, or message, it'll come up on the display. So I think those options and stuff like that are pretty sweet. I really do like the display. And then when you come down into the sport mode and you come down, you get to see a couple other gauges and stuff like that. Very similar to the BMW GS models, if you guys are not familiar with the BMW GS models. And then of course, if you go to My Vehicle, you can get further information like your coolant, your fuel range, your battery, your tire pressure, and a few other things, your computer, your trips and stuff like that. I don't need to go, I'll be here forever talking to you guys about this. But we'll have a further in-depth video about what's going on in the screen and stuff like that later on. The problem that I actually did have with it, and I want to tell you guys about it, because I'm not going to sugarcoat shit about it. If the bike sucks, the bike sucks. If it's great, it's great. Now I was sitting there riding around, and I saw and felt some. At first, it was a very faint squeak, and I said, "What the hell is going on with this thing? It's brand new. It's got like 20 miles on it." So I didn't really think anything of it. I'm like, "Oh, maybe the brake pads and such are dirty." So come to find out, and I was riding around, it never got away, and it actually got worse. But then when I would turn certain ways, the wheel or whatever would kind of like obviously flex, but not a lot, but it would kind of go away. So it let me know that there was something going on in the wheel. And the only two things that are going to make actual contact with this is actually the brake rotor, and obviously you can see the wheel speed sensor ring. And if you look real close on the wheel speed sensor ring, you can actually see a wear mark on it. There ain't supposed to be no wear mark on it because the thing that picks it up is just a piece of magnetic sensor. And it was actually machined a little too close. Let's see if you can see that. So now what I actually had to do is kind of like file it back so that it wouldn't necessarily be touching that individual piece. And if you come up and see some of the other ones, there are no wear marks on the GSXR. Well, it's actually on this side. No wear marks on the GSXR or anything like that. None of my other bikes had that. And you can't shim that piece because it has a rubber grommet and it has to sit X amount and so flush into the brake fork. So something that I could fix really easily. I don't really think that there's anything wrong with the brake forks or the brake caliper where it bolts to or anything like that, or the wheel is out of line. I've jacked it up, looked at it, rotated the wheel, got it going fast. Everything seems perfectly round. I really think that it's just the piece of plastic housing that was actually made for when that sensor was made. It just was overdone or just not done properly. And when this thing's probably built in the factory in Germany, there's probably 8,000 of those things, and they grab one and throw it on the bike while it's going down the assembly line, and they keep going and toss that shit on and keep going to the next one. So I'm not really mad at it, because why take it in? It's going to sit there for 2-3 weeks. No one has any parts pretty much for this thing. It's so new, and they're not going to do anything. So I might as well fix it, enjoy it. If something else fucks up with it or does anything else, well then it'll go in and go on from there, because the marks are clearly still on there, and it shouldn't have been that way from the factory. But of course I was able to fix it, and given the knowledge that I have with motorcycles and mechanics, it was just easier for me to fix and just obviously go on about my business. So other than that, the bike has been flawless. I have no complaints. Obviously the biggest complaint is the stupid ass tail section, but if no one comes out with one in the next, month or so, I will definitely be creating my own, fabricating my own, in a metal brake. Go get it powder coated, anodized, whatever. Get rid of these individual, it just looks stupid. I don't know what the hell BMW was thinking. They could have even reintegrated the one from the outgoing generation. Stuff like that. No one obviously has any real tunes out, no power commanders or anything like this. As you see, I did not flash my last one. I don't really believe that flashes work really on this thing. Now, I'm going to get a lot of flack probably for that as well. But I don't really see anything that's been proven. But, I'm not going to throw any companies' names under the bus right now. But if it's your bike and you want to flash it, you do your thing. I'm going to do things with mine. But there'll be some mods, some pipes and stuff like that. The mirrors are definitely going to go. So for the ones that want me to keep the mirrors, that ain't happening. And definitely needs a black windscreen. Only thing that I modded it aesthetically really is taking off, of course, all the stupid little reflectors. And there was a really big sticker here at the bottom, and I just did not like it. It just didn't appeal to me, so I did peel it off, because the whole bottom of the bike is pretty much black, and then you have this red, white, and blue sticker, and it just looks so out of place. Now, in my opinion, I feel that it looks just much cleaner like this here without it than that red, white, and blue sticker. It's very similar to a sticker like this. But my first impressions of the bike, riding it from the last one, I believe it is evolutionary. It is definitely not revolutionary yet, but the tech features and stuff like that have come into place really make and take it up to the next level. And that's kind of still what BMW does. Not that the GSX-R is any slouch or anything like that. Again, I still think this is the best bargain and best bang for the buck. Still, even over this and owning this for the first 100 miles, I don't think that this is going to be any better. As far as like bang for buck. But when you're riding and doing things like, just cruising down the street, and you don't want to be racing or anything like that, and you just want to listen to your music, whether it's with your earbuds or your Sena, whatever, Bluetooth helmet that you have, it is nice to be able to control all your music, see who's calling, not have to always use your Apple Watch or anything, or your Android Watch, whatever it is that you want to use. And it works really well. So far, I haven't seen any complaints or faults with the firmware, and everything is connected perfectly fine. Found everything pretty much on demand, on go. So everything else is so far, that's my first initial impression. And of course, we'll get the top speed when we get it unlocked. We'll see how else it works and everything else. Headlights are great. Brakes are great. Sound is great. Obviously a little too quiet for me, but we'll fix that here in a later date. But everything else is pretty much good. So those are my first initial thoughts of the first 100 miles. And do I think that you should upgrade from the other one? Well, I'm going to finish this video off with that. I'm going to leave that into another video. And there's some plenty things that I really, really, really do like about this bike that I think that you should upgrade. And then there's a couple things where I say, maybe you might not want to upgrade. But I will definitely cover that in a much further in-depth video. Of course, with a comparison, once this is unlocked, between this bike and that bike. So I think that's going to wrap it up, though, for today's video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Facebook, Instagram, @TheSpeedBug, same name here as YouTube. And more BMW content here coming soon. Peace, guys.